Posted by you, Throwawares 112, AITA for not wanting to name our son after wife's dead brother? Obligated. This is a throwaway. I don't want this reaching friends or family. Also, I'm sorry for the length. I didn't know a good way to shorten this without leaving out anything important. I was directed here upon the advice of a friend, after this issue escalated to a huge argument, approximately 3 hours ago, that resulted in myself leaving our home to go to a buddy's house. I am still here, and unsure how to go about resolving this with my wife. Myself, 28M, and my wife, 26F, have been together for 10 years and married for 4 of those. My wife is pregnant with our first child, a boy, and she is due in early July. Now on to the issue that has arisen. My wife wants to name our son after her brother, who passed a little over a year ago. Her brother, we'll call him T, was her only sibling and they were very close growing up, as they were only 2 years apart. However, her brother was not the most pleasant person. Her brother was a drug addict starting from age 14 to 15. He stole from everyone around him including myself and my wife. He was abusive to every one of his partners and his child, and he served several years behind bars. T was also abusive to my wife, and her parents. He had a stay-away order from our home because he broke in while we were away and stole our TV, my wife's jewelry box, and one of my hunting rifles. T passed last year in April from a drug overdose, and it affected my wife very deeply. It was her first major loss she has suffered, and she still attends therapy to help cope. When we found out we were having a boy, she immediately wanted the name to be T's name. I heavily disagreed, and I have offered many replacements, other family names like her father or grandfather's, but she will not budge. She wants our son to have the exact same name as her brother, first and middle. She has even gone as far to say that if we name him something else, she will have it changed, or only call him by T. My final straw was when my wife ordered a blanket with T's name sewn into it for our son. I blew up, and I told her I was not naming our child after a drug addict who took advantage of everyone around him. My wife blew up at me. She screamed at me to leave, threatened to call the police if I didn't. She called me a piece of shit for talking about her dead brother like he was trash. I did leave. I told her I would attempt to speak to her again about this once we had both calmed down, and I apologized for speaking about T in a negative way. I'm getting calls non-stop from her family, calling me names for speaking about T and not wanting to honor him by naming our son after him. My family is on my side, her family is on her side, and my friends are split on the matter. So, Reddit, strangers on the internet, I need your opinion on if I am indeed a massive asshole for not wanting this name for our child. TLDR. Wife wants to name son after brother who was a drug addict and serial abuser. I do not. We cannot come to reason with one another. Huge argument ensued. Now onto some comments before the update. Posted by _sniffin_ NTA. Naming someone after an abusive family member is never a good idea, especially if you both can't agree on it, especially if she wants him to have the exact same first and middle name as him. I could understand one or the other, but both seems like she's almost trying to replace him. OP responded with, I have tried to approach that with her, but she is very adamant that she is only trying to honor her brother's legacy. I would be willing to give our son T's middle or first name, but she is refusing. She wants both and she is a force to be reckoned with. Effervescent Hoopla responded with, can we also please mention how she threatened to call the cops on him? That is super toxic. My, admittedly shitty dad often got into trouble because my even more shitty stepmom will call the cops on him every time they got into an argument and claim she was being abused. Now, I'm not about to say that OP's wife is going to claim abuse, but I do think it's extremely dangerous that she's willing to call the cops over an argument. If it was getting violent, sure, get thee to a phone. But over an argument because you're not winning the argument? Red flag alert. Now onto the update. Hello internet humans. Not sure if any of you remember my first post a few months back, but I just logged on and saw I had a few messages, so I figured I would post an update. Sorry in advance for the length. So, if you recall in my first post, me and my wife were expecting a baby boy in early July, and our conflict was occurring over my wife wanting to name our son after her late brother. We got into a huge fight. Some names were called, and threats were made. and I was led to this subreddit to ask for advice and opinions of internet strangers. Well, a week after the post I sat down with my wife, and we had a very long and difficult conversation. She broke down and admitted she was struggling more than she let on with the loss of her brother, and she told me she felt uncomfortable talking to me about it due to my feelings towards him and how he lived his life. I was devastated, to say the least. I have never felt like such a horrible partner. I was selfish. I failed to see him as anything more than his mistakes, and I failed to support my wife through his death. It was a long talk with lots of tears, and we both agreed to be more open in the future and less judgmental. We started attending therapy together less than 2 weeks after that, and we have been going ever since, once a week. It was rough at first, but it has helped tremendously in dealing with the bumps in the road of marriage. As for our son, we came to an agreement on a name after lots of long discussion. A first name we both adored and her brother's middle name, just spelled differently. A good compromise for both of us, and it was my son's own name that no one before him had carried. We were both happy. Then on July 3, 2022, my wife delivered a beautiful, healthy, 8-pound baby girl. To say that we were shocked would be an understatement. My daughter came home the next day, and since then I am still in awe of how we created something so perfect. We didn't figure out a name until she was a week old, but I am happy to share that Eleanor Shea is what we came up. We are still adjusting to life with an infant, but so far it has been nothing short of amazing. Thank you for your past advice, internet friends and strangers. TLDR. Wife and I made up, went to therapy, found a name that was a compromise and we loved for our son. Had a surprise baby girl instead. We are overjoyed. Now on to the last story. Posted by you, main_hippo_6627, AITA for canceling my daughter's date, FYI. I am a single dad and have been for 11 years. Her mom essentially just ran out on us. My daughter Victoria is 14 and she's a great kid, makes me a proud dad. But, as the teen years has arrived, we've certainly had our fair share of disagreements over grades and clothes mainly. Unfortunately, she's interested in boys now, and they're interested in her. God, if you're listening, send help. Normally, when she says that she has a date, I'm fine. I meet the kid, they go on their way, that's kind of my rule. I don't do some goofy, if you don't have my daughter home at 9 o'clock on the nose, I'm coming hunting for you, big scary dad speech. I wanna just meet the kid so I can put a face to a name. A few days ago, she said a guy named Vince asked her out. Fine. Well, Friday night came, and I get told from Victoria that he's not good at talking to parents, and doesn't like to do it. Sarcastically I said that I loved hearing that and that I was at ease hearing that this guy actively avoids parents. She's got a PhD in my sarcasm, so I received an eye roll. I said he could use tonight as practice for talking to parents. She said that he doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to. I said if he's not meeting me, she's not going on the date. I got a foot stomp and that's not fair. I told her I wasn't being overbearing, just wanting to meet this kid. She told me she was going to do what she wanted. I told her to text this guy that the date was off and go to her room. She started crying, sent her text, told me she hated me, went to her room, and slammed the door a few times. AITA? Now onto some comments, posted by Lumpy Caterpillar 769, NTA. Grateful dads like you exist. Main_hippo_6627 responded with, it's freaking scary, she sees nothing wrong with. He doesn't like meeting parents. IXFD64 responded with, this, but it should be NAH in my opinion. I can't really blame OP's daughter for being upset either because a date can be a big deal for a teenager. This_cauliflower 1986 responded with, NTA. My son doesn't go on a date with someone I have not met. The fact that she thinks it's okay not to introduce him is intriguing. My mind immediately goes to the idea that he's not really in her grade and or that he is bad news.